welcome to the my presentation, Excel for ELT. It's being held at the 2019 ETAS Professional Development Day in Bern, Switzerland. You don't usually have to be told where you are in one of these workshops, and the reason I'm telling you this is because you can see the cameras around the room. We're recording this to be put on YouTube later because of the nature of the topic. So you're welcome to take notes on your computers. You won't have to do anything with your laptops because we have such a small amount of time. I want to show you as much as I can, and we're recording it so you can check it later at your own pace. So we're going to start out basic, very basic, which leads me to ask, has anyone never used Excel? Never used Excel? Never wants to admit using Excel? Never enjoyed using Excel? Yeah? You use it for 1 minute, right? Anybody consider themselves a happy Excel user? Okay, we got a couple. Yeah. So I will admit. I hope you're not disappointed. I probably can only use about 5 to 10% of Microsoft Excel's capabilities. It's tremendously powerful software. I think it's fantastic. The reason I feel confident giving this workshop is that I taught myself these things by asking Google and following instructions and working carefully and doing it a couple of times. And so I really think that anybody can do it. And the way that I'm going to present the workshop today is I'm going to show you 3 tasks which I do quite regularly as a teacher. And I use Microsoft Excel when I do these things during preparation time. It's not something you use in class too often. But during preparation time, I've figured out how to use Microsoft Excel to save some time instead of, right, because we're all using Microsoft Word to prepare some materials, and we do a lot of typing, and maybe you lay things out in tables, and we can save time with Microsoft Excel. And what I want you to do, and the notes that I would like you to take, is think about, can I use this? Is this something I could use? You can figure out how to do it later. But first, what you need to think is, can I use this? How can this help me? This I could use this for this. And once you decide, I can do this, I can see how this will work, then you can find the motivation to answer the questions and get the answers that you need. So that's what I want you to do as you're here. And like I said, then hopefully you'll watch the video later and you'll be able to remember how I did it, because I will go quite quickly. Okay? I'd like to try and talk about each and demonstrate each task until it's done, and then we'll take some questions, and then I'll go to the next one. But if you have questions, if something's not working or not clear, please interrupt me, but there will be time at the end of each task for some questions. So before we do the first task, I'm going to show you something that's really important to notice about Microsoft Excel. And this is the shape of your cursor will change depending on where you are moving it around. This is the default shape. You select the cells with this shape. And then when something is selected and you move it to the edge, it gets these little arrows. And when there's a selection at the bottom right corner, there's a little box. And when you put the cursor over this box, you get this shape. And this does really cool things. So I'm showing you this first because obviously on the screen it's going to be quite small. But I will tell you what's happening. So there's these 3 shapes. There's the select and move and fill. So what I have what I have here, and the first task that I'm going to show you is how I would make a semester plan. Sorry, let's bump that up a bit. And in this semester plan, usually you need, week 1, my class starts on next Monday, 16th of September. We're studying, the first week is an introduction, and then the second week is advertising, and then there's marketing, etc. We have a little plan that we have to make for the students, and we do this every semester. And most of it doesn't change, but for me, the part that really irritates me is, okay, 16th, and then we have the 23rd of September, and then there's the 30th of September, and then, you have to check the calendar, and you want to make sure, and so I kept doing that, and I kept thinking, why am I doing this? Isn't there a better way? So, so here is a really cool thing that Excel does, and it's very basic, it's very functional. Anytime you have a numerical sequence, and you see there's the default shape, and you move it to the side, and then you can move these cells around, up, down. It's like cuts and pastes it, it replaces it. But then you go in the corner, and if you drag this, so here we have week 15. So this is that corner, that bottom corner. It makes that special black cross, and then it will continue any sort of numerical sequence. It does it whether it's 2 and 4, right? 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It does it whether it's 3, 6, 3, 6, 9. It works with any numbers. It does it in any direction. This is a concept that Excel has. You can use it in lots of different ways. It creates a sequence and it continues a sequence. Okay, so I don't need any of this. What I do need is, hello. So we have the first day of the class is 16th of September, right? And the second day is the 23rd of September. And so do you see how I'm typing here, and then it changes? Because Excel recognizes dates. It recognizes date formats. And when it recognizes a date format, what do you think happens when I do that? So there's your schedule. Okay, so there's a couple problems for my schedule. The first is I have a break. I have a break here. So I need to put holiday there, and I have another break here. And you can see it's recommending holiday as something I've typed before, so it'll kind of suggest things. It'll save a little bit of time. Now, I just drag these first 2 weeks down again, and boom. So here's my course plan, and then I can just, I need to add a few more rows, I think. So insert below, and let's see if we've got enough. Not quite, I need a couple more rows. Insert below. Right, here we go. There's my semester plan. Now, if you're like me, this should be like that. Right? I don't want these hyphens. That looks terrible. I have standards. I have professional standards. Now, you can always use the replace and just find all hyphens, replace with space, replace all. There we go. Sure, you can do that. Or right? As you see here, this is what's called the formula bar. Right? You type things into this area on the top, and then it is displayed here. Formulas are applied. This isn't always the number here. You can add numbers up. It can show you the results of other formulas. So what you type in the box here, you can apply software to. The software will change the way it appears. So right now, it's displaying this date as this. And here, so there's, like Microsoft Word, there's these areas up here. We're in the home window. We want to talk about what is in this cell. And we can make it a short date or a long date. I'm a very particular person. I want it to be just so. So I'm going to choose a custom number format. It's already telling me what the date is. And here is the sample. Here's how you change it. Just add the space there. And because I looked it up on Google, I know that DD here means there's 2 digits for the date, and that's why you see 02 December, which as well, I cannot accept this sort of sloppiness. And that means there's always 2 digits, and there's 3 letters for the month. If you have 4 letters for the month, it's the full month, but I don't want that. So I'll change it to 1 digit and the month, and now you can see it looks better in this cell. I can select it and do it all for these, or you can use my favorite tool. There's a little paintbrush in the corner. It's called the Format Painter. So you find the cell that looks good, you click the Format Painter, and then you click all the other cells, and magic happens. Right? And then you just copy this and you paste it into your semester plan. Now, the other thing that kind of creates extra work for me is I have the same course that meets on 3 different days during the week. Right? I teach these students on Mondays, and these students on Thursdays, and these students on Fridays. And so then again, I have to copy the dates and change them. So like we saw with the dates themselves, right? Excel knows the days of the week, it knows the months, and so let's see. So 17th of September is a Tuesday, and the 24th of September is a Tuesday. So now, if we take these, we can extend that. There's the whole week. And if we take all of these, we just drag it down. And now we've got the rest of the year, or the rest of the semester. And in fact, I have a big spreadsheet that I've just dragged down forever. And so you can see that actually I'm good to go until 18th of January 2023. I've got all the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays that I need. So you can see that some of the format isn't right. So again, you just select the Format Painter, and you can clean everything up. And then for my Thursday class, I can select these dates, copy them, and paste them in the column there. And then, right, we don't want to spend a lot of time on the semester plan, but it has to be right. It has to be correct, because the students will say, but sir, you said the exam was on the 17th of January, and I don't have class on the 17th of January. And, these kind of conflicts can be avoided if you're precise. And it takes a lot of time and energy to do that with precision. And so I've managed to save some time with Microsoft Excel to do that. So just as a visual reminder, right? The mouse pointer shape changes. The fill selection tool works only on the bottom corner, and it will work in either direction. It does lots of things. Right, so you can select and move and fill. You can use the custom number formats to make your dates look the way you want. And you can use the format painter to copy visual styles. Okay, so that was the first little part. How was that for everyone? There's some people look like got that, yeah. Other people are looking a little concerned. Do you have questions at this point? Yes.
I'm trying it out, so I get the wrong dates in the column.
Right, you have to have a sequence of two things, because if you just start with the 16th of September, it's probably going to give you the 17th, right? But if you start with 16th and the 23rd, then it knows you want it by in a 7-day interval. It's going to repeat that interval, whatever you set. So maybe you choose the 16th and the 18th of September, it'll go 20th, 22nd, 24th. So it tries to imagine. This is a risk and a challenge with Excel. Right? Microsoft Excel tries to help you, and you have to be very careful that it's helping you the way that you want to. But that's what you do. You do it, and you look at it, and you say, that's not right. And then you just stop, and you take a step back, and you say, okay, what did I do, and how can I tell Microsoft to do it the way I want to? Because remember, computers are so infuriating because they do exactly what they're told. So if it's not doing what you want, you have to reevaluate the instructions you gave it. Okay. Let's talk about, so maybe you don't all have to make semester plans. One thing that we do is we make vocabulary lists, right? Everybody make vocabulary lists. You all know the website that I'm trying to visit, Quizlet.com. As you create your vocabulary list through the semester, let me just see if we can get on there. Good, that'll work. Right. How do you save your lists? Do you save your vocabulary lists, or you just put them in Quizlet and that's the list? Yeah, you just save them in Quizlet, which is fine. It's a good place to save them. Everything works. But what do you do next year when you change like part of your lesson plan? In Quizlet, when you create a set, have you taken advantage of this import? Sorry, discard that. Have you ever taken advantage of the import tool here? So for me, I always like to have things saved locally. It's very important for my peace of mind and security. So I keep all of my vocabulary, right? Here's the vocabulary item and the definition. I keep it in this big list. These are the words that we used in the 15-week course about advertising and branding. And the other thing that I have in my list is I have the week that I used them and which part of the lesson, so that next year, when I say, oh yeah, this was a good bit, or this was a good TED Talk, I can just copy the words and the definitions that I've already made. I've already given them out with typos and corrected the typos once. So now it's a pretty good list. I want to keep it. And you can keep extra records in the list. And then, let's say, right, I usually put my Quizlet decks up about 2 weeks at a time. You can, right, you prepare it in advance as well, so that when it's time to put the Quizlet deck live, you're kind of ready. You just select the 2 cells with the word and the definition. You copy it. You use the import function here. And then you just paste it, and you can see they're all here down below. And you import, and la la la. Sometimes you have to choose the language. It's language, and then you create the deck. And then obviously you have to name it, and then you can share it, and you can make sure that you're just sharing the vocabulary words that you want instead of kind of everything from the book. So this is from this reading text, and I can put the listening words in the next week. And the other thing that I have to do is I have to give exams. And I want to put vocabulary terms in the exam because otherwise they never look at Quizlet. So then you've got this big list, and has anybody made a matching test with your vocabulary and then you forgot to put like one of the answers, you didn't put one of the answers on the test, and everybody gets this one wrong, and it's all a catastrophe and a disaster. So what I do is it's going to be kind of incoherent. Usually I take great care with the terms that I'm selecting for the exam. I'm not going to do that today, but I'll make a new column. I don't know if you've seen me do this. If you move the cursor into the top or into the side, it becomes this pointing arrow, and you can select a column, and you can insert new columns. And all of your formulas adjust. We'll look at formulas next. The formulas adjust to the columns that you've inserted, so it doesn't break things. It updates itself. So I'll say, right, these are the terms I want to use for my exam. And let's say we'll do, I'm going to say yes to tailor, aspire, deceive. I'll just pick some verbs only. There we go. Nudge and scheme. What else we get here? Step up, sell out, green light, flourish, and I have to get some from later in the semester. There we go, to mature and to revive. So try and create a good mix of early in the semester, late in the semester, and what you need to do is then to select them and know what you're using. And so this is the next really powerful feature of Excel that I use a ton, and it's in the data ribbon. So not home with the bold and italics, but in data, you want to have the top row selected. It has to be the top row, and you choose filter. And you see it made these little arrows. Right, so it's unfiltered, and now these are filters. And with a filter, you can organize things A to Z. And everything in the rows stays together. So instead of just alphabetizing one row, it moves all of the data with them, right? To step up is still to increase the amount of an activity. To mature is to become more developed. You can sort this one in alphabetical order. You can sort this one in alphabetical order. Or you can only show the ones that you've chosen. Here's my list. These are the terms in my exam. And now these numbers are blue. And you can see that there's a big gap here. Well, there's gaps. There's 83, there's 86. There's things missing. There's things not being shown, and you can see the icon is different here. So I prefer working with things, select all, good. I like to keep everything visible. I don't like to keep things hidden. But let's say, so now I've got these terms. I'm just going to make a new sheet because I want to do a little work with them. I want the filter again. I'll make it wider so you can see what the terms are. Because here, now on this page, it looks in alphabetical order. Here's my vocabulary terms. them. So I'm going to make a new document. I'm just going to paste them. Have you used these tools in Word? You want to keep the text only. You don't want a new table. Just keep the text only. Paste the words. And now, how much time do you spend with your vocabulary quizzes, making sure that they're in a different order and that it's not predictable? Right, so here's the words. They're in alphabetical order. Now, just put the definitions in alphabetical order. And oops, sorry, want to paste as text only. Right now, the words and the definitions are in a different order. Piece of cake. And if you want, I'll usually maybe delete a few of the answers or give extra answers so that it's not a one-to-one correspondence. So put in a couple extra, target words so that they start doubting themselves. But for this, right, we'll let that go. We'll make this be numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then with this, we'll just replace the paragraph mark with 10 spaces, and there you go. Draw a box around that, and you've got a vocabulary test from the Quizlet cards, because you already put them in Quizlet. They're in different orders, and you know that the definitions are there because you copied it from a list where you had the words and the definitions. You can say, yep, they're there. And then you can just go on to the next portion of your test. So, it's going really fast. How's it going back there? Have you tried any of this? Not yet. Okay, that's fine. Anyone have any questions or something that they think might not work or be?
It's just curiosity. So then the vocabulary list you share with your students through Quizlet.
Exactly. I tried giving them the document and they never really liked it. And they can download it from Quizlet as a PDF anyways. So the vocabulary list, the big one, is just for me. And then you can make extra notes on it as well, and you don't share any of the other stuff with them.
Where did you find replace?
In Word, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. It's in the Home tab. All the way at the end, there's replace. And a lot of times, here I'll show you one other thing that happens when you copy stuff over. Let's say you want to make your own vocabulary list. And so you copy the words and the vocabulary from Excel. And you have this space. Do you guys know what this is? If you look at the paragraph marks, this is a tab mark. And so again, you can select all and replace. And you need to go down to the special characters. So you'll open it and you'll see this, and you need to click more. And then you go to special. You say tab character. And you can replace it with a colon and a space, and replace all. That's fine. Close that, and you get rid of the visuals, and then you've got that. So the Excel works a lot with tabs, is how it kind of translates things. And if you have annoying problems with Excel, copying, formatting, everybody's Windows computer, I apologize, I don't know anything really about Macintosh. Everyone's Windows computer has Notepad, or in French it's Bloc-Notes. And if you copy and paste something into Notepad, so that's all, it's quite large fonts. Notepad strips out everything except the text. It's only a text holder. It doesn't have font, it doesn't have bold, it doesn't have anything like that.
There doesn't be a tab there after just came. Is that a tab after just came here in the Notepad?
A tab, which?
Yes, just came, and then there's a huge gap. What is that?
Yeah, tab exists. Tab is a character, but it doesn't have bold or italics. So if things are looking funny, paste it into Notepad, and then copy it from Notepad, where it doesn't have any extra information, it only has the text. Copy it from Notepad, and then you can paste it in something else, and you've kind of deleted all of this extra trash. It's making things look nice comes with a lot of baggage, and so Notepad is a way to kind of strip that baggage away. All right, are you ready for the big one? So now what we have, I had to make one at home to save us some time. Okay, so does anybody teach first certificate classes or exam classes, right? And when I taught them, it's been a while since I've taught them. I had to make a little cheat sheet with how many points are available in each section because I can't quite remember exactly. When I taught them, for me, one of the most important things to tell my students is to give them regular updates on what they always wanted to know. Will I pass this exam? Will I pass? Am I going to pass? How am I doing? Will I pass the exam? Do you think I can pass the exam? I'm not sure how I'm doing. Can I pass the exam? And, right, we all are going to tell them, yeah, you're doing fine. You're making progress. It's going okay. You're doing fine. And they think, you're just saying that, so I'll sign up for the next course or whatever. And so you really want to show them how they're doing. And adding things up and keeping track of them, it takes time. And anybody who works in the state school knows the wonders of total marks achieved divided by total possible marks divided by, times 5 plus 1. Right? To get the marks out of 6, this is what all of my colleagues started using Excel to do. So we'll show you something easy, and then we'll get to that and some other things. So when your students we're starting with the Cambridge First listening section, because that one, it's really easy to mark because, as you know, every question is worth 1 point, and it's either right or it's wrong. There's none of it's either 2 points or 1 point. So you can either collect the papers and do it while they're doing another task, or you can just go around and you can say, Guillaume, what'd you get in part 1? Oh, I got 7, and then I got 8 points in part 2, and I got 4 in part 3, and I got 6 in part 4. And Jan, how'd you do? Well, I got 5, and I got 7, and only 3 and 5 here, right? And you go through the class, or you collect your marks. And so we'll add them up. And so, as I said before, this is called the formula bar. The formula bar is where you type the formulas. And to begin a formula, you'll type equals. And then you'll start typing the function that you would like to perform. And so for arithmetic, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you'll type sum. The formulas, by the way, are a little bit, they are language specific. So if your software is in the German language, I think it's Summe. So you'll have to know your language options. In French,
I
Anel?
don't know, mine is in English.
Okay. Yeah,
Must be sum.
So it's depending on your language, these formulas will be different. There is tons of documentation online for Microsoft Excel. Tons of it. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. So.
Oh, we are definitely going to check those out.
Yeah. Some better than others. It's the constant internet problem. You can find lots of information. Only some of it is really, really good. So then the next step in sum is open brackets. Right? You start with a parentheses. Open parentheses. And now you can see that Excel, it starts telling you how to make the formula. So all you need to remember is I need to type equals sum open brackets, and then it wants number 1, and it has the syntax there. There's a comma, number 2, comma, number 3, comma, number 4, close brackets, and enter. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit because I don't want to go around getting marks from Jenny and Julian and everybody else. So I'll say here's their marks and go back to the page where I don't have it. Right, so now you have everybody's marks. And now, do you want to type equals sum open brackets number 1, number 2? How can you extend the? That's right. You just select this one, and you just drag it down, and it adds up the same. So you see in the formula bar, right? This adds up B2, C2, D2, and E2, and this one B2, B3, C3, B4, C4. Right? It figures out what you're doing. I just want to extend this, and I just want to copy this formula to the next row. But Cambridge has very helpfully, and I really love the new Cambridge scale where the exams correspond to each other, and if you get 180 points on the Cambridge first, it's a C1, and there's an equivalence. It's really cool. But for the students, if you tell them, okay, you got 25 points, I think that's equivalent to 170 points. That's not as helpful as you would like. So how do we get a percentage? Right? We divide by 30. Right, so we have the sum of this, and you divide by 30. And then that doesn't look nice. You just click on the percent style. There you go, 83%. And again, just drag it down. Now you've got a nice number that you can tell them. Okay, right, Julian? Yeah, you got 63%. That's rough. It doesn't feel good. That's okay. You're doing it, man. Right? That's a pass. Good job. Well done. Right? Hang in there. Jenny, tremendous. I've checked the numbers. It used to be very simple. 60% was a pass. 80% was an A. Now 60% more or less is a pass. And it's 90% to get the next mark. So it looks like Jenny could get a C1 in listen. But what they really want to know is, am I going to pass the exam? Am I going to pass the exam? So the listening test is pretty easy. We could always kind of do that one on our own. All the answers are on one page. You can add it up. Oh, she's got 23 out of 30. You can do that. Reading and use of English, helpfully, combined in one test, but with 2 separate marks. So again, I made this in advance. I'll tell you why I have these titles. Right, it's Reading and Use of English, Part 1, and there's 8 possible points. And part 2, you want to have titles to your columns because otherwise it's just numbers. Right? And again, the only one that's tricky when reporting the scores in this part is that part 4, the sentence completion, because there's 2 points possible, and they know there's 2 points possible, right? You can get 2 marks, or you can get 1 mark, or you can get no marks. So you just have to be consistent with how they report them. Do they say I got 3.5 out of 6, or do they say I got 7 out of 12? So again, Guillaume, how'd you do? Well, it started good, 7, and then 6, and then 6 again. But in this one, he only got, we'll say 3 marks out of 6. As long as it's the same, you can apply your formula the same. You could say 12, but in the next reading questions, they're worth 2 points, but there's only 5 questions. You get 2 points or you get no points. So how'd you do in the next one? Oh, I got 4, and then I got 3 there, and in the last part, I got 7. And Jan, how did you do? Again, I'm going to cheat and save a little time. Right, here's Jan's marks, and Jenny and everyone else. Right, they report their marks, and right, there you go. So now the formulas get more complicated. So I made a little color coding. These are the use of English questions. The other ones are the reading questions. So to make a formula, again, right? How do you start? Equals, and we're doing arithmetic, so we want sum, and then open brackets. And then let's just start really easy. We're just going to add number 1, comma, number 2, comma, number 3. This happens sometimes where the visual display is in the way. You can just type H2. Right? So there's a sum. It's giving me a percentage from earlier. I'm just going to clean that up a sec. General. Okay, so we can see we got 21 questions right in the reading section. But remember, these are worth 2 points each. Right? This one's worth 2 points. So let's see. So F2 needs to be 2 times F2. The asterisk is the multiplication. And G2 is also 2 times. Right, so now these are multiplied twice. These are 1 point, these are 1 point. And you can see that Guillaume has 28 points out of 42. So, right, it's 28 points. Well done, Guillaume. That's 140 on the Cambridge scale. Or you can divide this formula by 42. There's 42 possible reading questions. And then, hey, looks not bad for Guillaume, huh? 67%. Good job. And the use of English, it's the same thing, right? Equals sum, open brackets, number 1, comma, number 2, comma, number 3, close brackets. And we just need to multiply this by 2. So 2 times. And let's divide by 24. And we'll also make it a percent. Well, Guillaume looks like he's going to make it. And then you just complete it with the rest of your students. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm leaving a couple of them blank. And so I've added in some writing marks, right? We have to give them lots of writing homework. Definitely you want to keep track of the writing marks. It's really nice to, as you feel in the semester, right, see like, look, you're getting better in the writing. Your essays, you can make notes in your headings, right? This assignment was the essay that they had to write on schools. And assignment 2, this is the review of the album. You know, you can make notes. What was this that that Nancy got 50% on. So notes are under review. So you go to review and you make a note. So you can make a note and say this is a new note and this is the essay on the environment, right? Then you just click off of the notes, and when you go back, it's there. So again, that's under review and notes. So you can make little notes for yourself and tell them like, oh, hey, Maria, we don't have your essay on the environment. And it's easy to check. I've given them, oops, I deleted the speaking marks. I have speaking marks here. So I've given them some example speaking marks because what they really want to know is how does it all fit together? Right? Okay, you're doing fine in the listening and this one and so 20% for each part. How does it add up? And this is the part that makes Excel really, really, really powerful, is because now you can start to connect these different pages, right? I've made different pages in the workbook down here. There's a plus. You can make a new page. You double click on it and you say reading 2, right? You can have your other reading tests and your other listening tests. You keep them all in one document because at the end of the day, they want to know, okay, when I take all the tests, how am I going to do? And so, well, you've got the listening marks here, right? These are the listening marks. It's important to make sure that the names are in the same order. Make sure you're connecting the names in the same order. But you copy it. When it's the little dancing lines around it, you know that it's selected cells. We go over here to overall. Here's where I've put the listening section. Now I can paste it. So I can paste the number values. But what I really want to do is I want to paste a link. Right? You see how there's these other paste options. I want to paste a link. And I'll show you why in just a minute, because you see that Nancy didn't hand in her listening test. She was ill. Let's get the reading marks. So we'll copy these. So this we're going to paste. You can right click and paste the link in this menu. I'm going to get the use of English marks from here. I copy these, go to the overall page. You can paste it, and then you'll choose it from this menu. Right? If you forget, you can get to this menu that pops up here. Let's get some writing marks. So well, with the writing, you have 2 pieces of writing for 1 mark, right? And are they equally weighted? They're not, are they? The first part, the essay, is worth more? Or is it 50-50? Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're here, Tim. Okay, so make a little formula, right? So we want to average. So it equals average, open brackets. We go back to writing, and you can see it's kept the formula here, and it's added in the name of the sheet. So number 1, comma, number 2. Right, you can see the syntax that you need. Average, brackets, number 1, comma, number 2. There, close brackets, enter. It's performed that calculation based on what's in these cells. And then again, just drag it down. And with the speaking marks, I'm going to copy those and paste a link here. Right? So for a certificate, right? Or you can do a sum, or you can make it really easy, huh? You could do the average, right? Equals average, open brackets. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just drag across the cells that I want averaged, close the brackets, enter, there's your average. And again, as long as we just want to go straight down the row, you just use that fill tool to add in these numbers. So Nancy, it doesn't look like she's doing very well, but that's because she didn't hand in these tests. And this happens in every class for lots of valid reasons. Students are sick or whatever, they're late. But it's kind of a headache to do this a second time. Well, this is the magic of paste link. Because if we go back, let's see, so remember Nancy has a 0 here, and Philip, they've got a 0 here, and Nancy also didn't do the listening test. All right, we got some zeros here. So we'll go back here. Nancy, how'd you do now? 5 and 6 and only 3 there. She got 4 there. That's okay. And 3 and 4 and well, she got 9 in the last part. Okay, that looks good. Philip, 6 and 3 and 5 and you got doing great there. 4 and 4 and 8. And Nancy, where's your listening test? Okay, so she's got 8 and 7 and 5 and 5. You see the numbers update on this page, obviously, but they've also updated on your mark sheet. So, because of the link. And that saves you from copying and pasting it back. It knows that if you put a number in that cell, you want to see it on this other page. And then when your students come up and they want to see their marks, right? You can just I'm just gonna do that. Right? If you want to be discreet, just set the text to white and say, okay, Nancy, here's what you got. Right? And then she can look, and you don't have to feel like she's going to be like to Guillaume or whoever. And then you just undo it and say, okay, Jan, do you want to come to the front and look at my mark book? Here's what you've got. Right? Your speaking, it could be better. The writing, I know you're capable of better than this. But overall, you got pretty good scores. But that reading and use of English and the listening, like you could be getting a C1. Come on, buddy. And you give them the data that they want, and you can keep it organized in a way that it shouldn't take an extreme amount of time, because to keep track of everything manually takes a lot of time. But if you have it in a notebook, an Excel notebook, and you put it together and you use the linking and the formulas, it will save you time. And next year, you just take the notebooks that you already made. You've already made the formulas. They're not going to change the Cambridge Firsts next year, I hope. And the formulas will all be the same. And you can just use the same worksheet every year, right? Save as, put a new class name on it, and then your work's done. And then you just say, okay, Stefan, what did you get in part 1? And you collect the scores that way, and you're good to go for another year. So I just want to remind you again of a couple of things. So with the vocabulary lists, I forgot to go back here. Use a filter under the Data tab. And this is where you can sort the list alphabetically, or you can show only part of the list. And with exam marking, right, the components of the formula appear as you start typing. It helps you. This part is really helpful. If you can remember, right, equals, sum, open brackets, it'll tell you what you need to do. And you can look it up. It's all on Google. There's lots of pages. You can select the number. You can type the number of the cell. You remember I typed H2. Use the fill tool and use paste link. And that will make everything work for you. So I wish I had more time for questions because I know you have them. But we are at the end of the time. So the presentation will be coming soon to YouTube. You can visit the Professional Development Day page on the ETAS website to find the YouTube link. It will be on social media. We'll put it on the Facebook page, and I'll send it out on Twitter. If you don't get any of those mails, please send me a mail, ben.hoyt@etas.ch, and I'll send it to you directly. So thanks for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the workshop, and I hope to see you in January at the next ETAS event in Zug. Right. Thanks.